going okay on their
That was so
end.
nice. Thank you. So cute.
Well, hello, ladies. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Let's Talk Girl Talk. I'm so excited that you all are joining with us today. Please don't forget to like and share. I know that with it being on a Saturday, a lot of people are busy, and so everybody can't check in with us right when we go live. So that's great. That's fine. Just be sure to catch us on in your replay. We're just going to wait just a couple seconds to kind of give everybody a moment to chime in, and then we are going to get started.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yes.
So I would love to know what made you start the Let's Talk Girl Talk.
So let's talk girl talk. What made me start Let's Talk Girl Talk was really it was derived from a ministry that I started in 2019. It
Mhm.
was basically an initiative to inspire young girls and teaching them about God's love, self-love, and self-care. And that's pretty much how we got started. And with the pandemic and then some things going on in my personal life, I could no longer do the conferences. So God just kind of led me to go live. And so for a year now, we've just been going live, and we've been having inspirational conversations. We've had a lot of amazing guests come and speak with us.
Mhm.
And they just kind of share their testimonies or share what they're doing. And they just always leave with us an inspiring word to kind of encourage us to live on purpose. And so that's pretty much how everything started. And we've been going strong for a year now. We've been going strong for a
Love
year.
it. Well, you are doing a great work here.
Thank you,
Yes,
love.
I absolutely love that. Women and girls, they need as many outlets as they possibly can that are positive. So I'm here
Yes.
for it.
Yes. Well, ladies, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm not going to delay the time anymore. Like I said again, welcome to Let's Talk Girl Talk. We have an amazing, amazing guest that I'm so honored to have with us today. We have Love Vaughn. She
Thank
is
you.
the creator, the inventor of the SipSak, and she founded the company, the SipSak. And I'm just so excited that she's going to be chatting with us today, sharing with us her story. I'm going to start us off with just a little quick moment of prayer. That's how I love to do. I'm a person of prayer. Lord, we thank you, God, for this time of sharing and inspiration. We thank you, God, for love in her endeavors, oh God. We pray that you continue to bless her in everything that she does. Continue to open doors and make ways out of no ways for her. God, I pray that you bless every young lady, every woman that's watching with us today. I pray that they be inspired through this chat, and that you bless them in their own personal endeavors, and that they will continue to strive, living on purpose and going towards the things that you have designed for their lives. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. And so, ladies, like I told you, Love is such an inspiration. She created a product called the SipSak, which is the very first patented wearable infant feeding device. And so she's going to be sharing with us her story today. We're going to do a Q&A style today. And ladies, like, I always let you guys know that if you want to comment or anything like that, feel free to do so. I got my Facebook open on my phone so that I can read your comments, and we can kind of chime in with you as you're commenting and sharing. Okay, so Love, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So the first question, Love, tell us a little bit about you and your journey um, to creating the SipSack.
Wow. All right. So initially, it started when I was a young girl. I watched my aunt about her third, maybe fourth child. She started having challenges with breastfeeding, lots of pain. Can't really tell you exactly what was going on. I was young, had no idea. All I knew was she was in a lot of pain and there was nothing anyone could do about it. And I just didn't understand why there was no solution. And that really stuck with me. I wanted to do something to help her, but what could you do? So, as I grew older, and that was kind of always in the back of my mind. Once I got old enough to kind of understand what was going on, now I'm an adult. I have friends who are starting families, and then this issue came up again. And I'm like, oh,
Mm.
this is more common than I've ever heard of. Like, I never heard of engorgement. What is that?
Yeah.
Mastitis. What is that? These
Yeah.
different challenges with breastfeeding were I was oblivious to. And I'm like, that's
Mm.
not good because I'm a woman. I should know these things, that this is a possibility of what you could go through.
Mm.
And yeah, I always wanted to create a solution. I've always tinkered. That's always been my thing, inventing, creating, solutions to problems, things that will help people, even if it was just simple things. That's always my brain is always going in that mode. So with this in particular, it really came after just, just a lot of stuff going on in my life at the time. And the idea, I mean, really, it struck like lightning, and I literally couldn't sleep. I think
Mm.
I was laying in bed, and I jumped up, and I'm like, "That's it." And I feel like it was like God was like, "So here you go. Like,
Yeah.
this is what's going on here. This is the idea." I felt like it was that clear. Um,
Mm.
it was so clear as if it was just literally words spoken to me. So I was like, all right, okay, I couldn't go to sleep. There was not a lick of sleepiness in me. I was sketching and sketching. Um, and I normally don't say this part, but I actually that was the first one I came up with. And I designed about 8 more inventions right then and there,
Wow.
back to back. They were coming like lightning bolts. Just I was like,
Wow.
okay, okay, okay. I couldn't even sketch fast enough, and I was just sketching and sketching and sketching. So that was the one that I was like, well, where do I start? Which one do I start with? And it was that one. I'm like, that solves the most needed problem immediately.
Mm.
And that's when I decided, like, okay, this is the one I'm going to pursue. This is the game changer. This is the one that will have the biggest impact for people, because the other ones may be like nice, they may be fun, they may be useful, but um this one, I think, like, I started thinking about who it was for,
Yeah.
why it needed to happen. And from there, I'm like, okay, now what? Because I don't have money. Like, with what money does this happen? So I like to be very resourceful, and to make sure that I don't really let things stop me. I grew up very poor,
Mhm.
in lots of poverty. So, lights could be off, water could be off, or both at the same time. It
Yeah.
happened. And when you come from the type of neighborhood that I grew up in, we don't have resources. Like, what is a patent? Like, we don't understand these concepts. Where do you
Right.
begin? All we know is this is for people who have money or come from that kind of lineage. They're the ones who create these kinds of things. And I just always had a goal to make sure that I wasn't a part of that notion, that I'm not going to let this idea that we believe that only wealthy people create products to help people or get things out in the
Right.
market stop me. So I started doing my research. If there's one thing I'm doing every day, it's research. So I just started cramming the internet as much as I could, like programs. And one thing that I learned along the way is you won't find the right answers if you don't know the right questions to ask.
Mhm.
And that's why I changed it up, started asking the right questions. And then from there, I was able to find the terminology that I needed to type in order to find the answers that I needed. So it was a learning process. I had to learn what questions to ask, what words to use, because they're not our common words. And eventually I found a program, and it was just off to the races from there. Um, then life. decided to jump in there. And, like I mentioned earlier, I was going through a lot of things and things I had never dealt with, and different heartaches and things that I never actually faced head on.
Yeah.
So it ended up catching up with me. I ended up meeting a guy. And at the time, this had been, late spring of 2016. And I was in a relationship with a different guy at the time. So I didn't pay him any mind. He slipped his number to someone else to give to me, threw it in a suitcase, didn't pay it any mind. Fast forward to the top of 2017, and me and the other guy no longer together. And I find his number unscathed in my
Mm.
suitcase. And I'm like, God, it's a sign. Don't you just love it when you just assume it's a sign?
Oh my
And I'm like,
gosh.
okay, it's not even a crinkle in the paper. It must be it.
Oh
So
my goodness.
I'm like, all right. So I get in contact with him. That happens to still be his number. And I happen to have moved to the same area that he was in.
Wow.
Wow, okay. Check, all the boxes, all the signs, all the signs. So, we start getting to know each other. We have, just start our relationship. And I will say, when you don't heal, you choose not to acknowledge red flags. They
Mm.
could be waving in your face, and you will ignore them for the possibilities. You will fall in love with potential. And
Mm.
that's exactly what happened. And the relationship went from 0 to 100, and I felt like, and I'm a type of person that I love investing in people, and this is not just even romantically. If you're my friend, oh, you have a business idea, let's do it. Let's come up with names and ideas. So anybody I deal with, I love pouring into people, but that's also a danger to an unhealed person,
Mm.
because
That's
you tend to pour into the wrong people and you can't help yourself. And I know that is when you leave that part of you untamed, it will come and bite you in the butt later.
yes.
So I, ended up in an abusive relationship.
Wow.
And not just any abusive relationship. This was one where religion and spirituality was used against me.
Oh wow.
So he grew up in Pentecostal type of church, and his whole family was in church. I mean, from the uncles to the cousins to the mom to the dad. Well, not excuse me, not the dad, but the mom to just everybody was in the church. So, okay, and I had just come from a really confusing time spiritually where I was in a church for almost 10 years and it was just more like a cult. We'll talk about that later.
Mm.
It just ended up that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But it just was all around me and God were on the fritz. I was not
Mm.
understanding what was going on. Um, I didn't stop believing or anything like that. But it was really hard time for me spiritually. It was very confusing time because on one hand, I thought, oh, here's this upgrade. He has a better car and a better job and
Mm.
better looks, better everything it seemed, physique. I was like, ding, 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 win, right? Like this has to be a win. But no. So fast forward, he moves us to Atlanta, and everything just really goes downhill from there. I'll save all the hard details for another time, but it was really abusive and mentally as well. And he specifically told me one day because I was really excited. I told him about my invention. I said, I have this idea and I want to make this product, da da da. And I was telling him about it, and he literally said, I'll think about it. I'll think about it if I'll let you do it.
Wow.
but we're focusing on what I want to do.
Wow.
And I'm at a point where I'm already kind of broken. So, and I'm invested, and I just, I pull back, and I'm like, all right, well, I know I can never talk to him about this again. And what do I do? So it took me some time and I stopped working on it. And, I would get this nudge like, are you serious? You're not going to work on it? And then ideas would flood back. And I'm like, okay, start working on it. And then I would do it in secret. So I was secretly pursuing my dream because who I with was, it was all
Yeah.
bad. And that's when I came up with my first prototype. Before we had moved and everything, backtrack just a little bit. I came up with my first prototype. I was, we didn't live together, so I was in, my room, and I I grabbed one of my old bras and I cut it up. I cut up the lace, and I drove to the store and I was like, oh, I got it. Grabbed some elastic, and came back, and I was like, all right. So I'm like stitching by hand, and putting it all together. I was like, oh no, like what am I going to put inside? So we had just had a birthday party for one of the girls I nannied for. So I ran downstairs, I grabbed a balloon, an empty balloon, and I filled it with water. And I was like, yeah, this is it. This is like a breast. This is cool. Okay. And then I was like, but where's the nipple? I was like, oh, how are you going to make a nipple? And then I went downstairs again. I was like, oh, the game. What is the game called? What is the game called? And I grabbed the game Trouble, one of the little peg pieces. So I don't know if you've ever played that game, but
Yes.
I gra- I
I know which
grabbed
piece
one
you
of the
saw.
peg pieces. I was like, yes, this is it. This is it. And then I push it into the outer part of the opening of the balloon. And then I was like, all right, tying it, I'm twisting it and I'm doing stuff. And I'm like, in my head, it makes sense. It makes sense. And I'm like, but where am I going to put this thing? Oh, grab the scissors. And I like jab it into it, like creating a hole. And I pushed this peg through. And I was like, this is it. I was like, I got it. And that was my first prototype. And it's just like, I can't believe this is happening. And so I was so excited, but I kept it to myself. And just kept sketching, kept tinkering. And it was something that I worked on off and on in secret for the next year and a half. Um, Fast forward to October 2018, um, is the day, specifically October 22nd. But that's the day that he tried to kill me.
Oh my God.
And yeah, we won't go into that because I don't want to like drag this out. It's a long story, but it was really, really felt like I was in a Lifetime movie. But that was the day where, when you're in an abusive relationship, a lot of people don't understand it. They say, but why don't you just leave? Just walk away. And it's really unfortunate that you don't get it until you're in it. You don't get why people stay in those kinds of relationships. And a
Right.
lot of it has to do with the lack of healing. When you don't address your demons, when you
Mm.
don't put in the effort to acknowledge that, do you even like yourself? Everyone talks about love yourself. Do you like who you are when you're by yourself? If you don't like who that person is, anyone can come in and like you enough for the both of you. And when they do that, now they
Mm.
have the power. Now you feed off of how much they like you, how much they seemingly love you. And it's dangerous. It's so dangerous that you will put yourself in this situation that you may or may not get out of. And he had such a hold on me. And you can't be afraid to say things like that. It's
Right.
embarrassing. It can be very embarrassing. It can be very shameful to say that you let someone control you. But the more honest you are about it, the less chance there is that you're going to go back. You
Mm.
have to be brutally honest with yourself. And the truth is, I allowed him to control me. I allowed him to speak things like, how I saved you from that church, and I saved you, and I came in and I helped you and I showed you the Bible and I did this. And you start to believe those things because you didn't deal with them beforehand. So now it seems like truth. And it seems like this person really did come in and do you a favor. And so this is the type of person that I'm, dealing with, who used my past against me, used the things that I poured out my heart and I shared with him, and he used that to set
Mm.
the tone for the abuse, to
Wow.
set the deservingness of the abuse. And you cannot be fooled that you don't deserve it at all. You never deserve it. No matter what you've done, you don't deserve that. But even more so, when you allow someone to convince you that they're doing you a favor, they also tend to convince you that it's it's kind of like, the stronger you are, if you're really a strong person, you can handle this. One of
Mm.
the biggest lies that you can be told or convinced in an abusive relationship is that you're strong enough to handle it. It's not people who are weak. It's people who think they are, I'm strong enough. I'm not going to let him break me. And
Mm.
so you keep going and you keep allowing it to happen. And then, oh, I'm not broken today. I can go another day. I'm strong enough. He'll change. And when he changes, he'll congratulate me. He'll thank me for
Wow.
staying in there with him. He'll thank me for being loyal. And these are the lies that are coded as truth. They're coded as like a pat on the back. And it's really unfortunate. And that's why so many people, unfortunately, stay in these relationships and don't make it out. Because when you're in it, these things are looked at as positives. When everyone else is shouting, get out, and you're like, no, I got this. He
Mm.
wouldn't even be, he would be more abusive if it wasn't for me. So when you are in that type of situation, your dreams don't matter. You're so focused on building this person up, especially if you have a healing spirit. If you have a healing spirit, you are going the extra mile. You may be praying more. You may be, let me even show him just how faithful I am. How you're going the distance to prove that I don't deserve your abuse. And once you see that you're doing wrong, everything will be great. I just need you to realize that your abuse is unnecessary because I'm a great person. And little do you know that they aren't going to change because it's who they are at their core. That's no
Right.
matter how beautiful you are, if you give them sex or not, nothing is going to change their mind that this is what they want to do to you. Nothing.
Mm.
And I was, the person I was with is more of a narcissistic sociopath. So he feeds off of anything. You could have blinked wrong. That's it. So
Mm.
just what happened to me in that attack, you know, he said, oh, well, I'll never punch you in your face. And I'm like, okay, so you hang on to this one thing that they said they'll never do. And that's, you hyper focus on it. And when you do that, it's even worse because you're hanging on to their words because they told the truth. They actually have never done this to you. Well, I mean, he said he would never, he hasn't. So until it gets to this point, I'm okay, right? Like there's a reason why he hasn't done it. So you hang on to the why did he not do this to me yet? And on that day was the day that's exactly what he did. That's how it
Mm.
began. And when I knew from that moment when he swung and he punched me in my face. I was like, it's over. This is it. I was completely unprepared for this to happen because I was so just focused on him, never had done that before. And
Mm.
I was like, what do I do? And so I just started fighting for my life. I'm fighting back as much as I can. I scream out the window and nobody comes. And
Mm.
nobody knew where I was. I didn't have a key to the apartment. My name wasn't on the lease. He made sure all these things were in place to control me. My Nobody knew where I lived. They didn't know my address. So from
Wow.
that moment, all the things that were actually true started going through my mind in the midst of him beating me up. I'm like, if I die right now, no one will know. No
Mm.
one will have a clue where I am, when it happened, and who did it because I was loyal and I protected him and I protected his name and I made sure that no one looked at him in a bad light to my demise. So it was really heart-wrenching at that moment. And so as I'm literally hanging off of the bed, my head is hanging off of the bed and he is strangling me. His hands are so tight around my neck and I feel my breath leaving. And it was scary. It was eerie because I was inching toward death and I could feel it. And I was like, "Oh, like, what do I do right now? I have a lot of fight left, but I'm not stronger than him. I'm just physically not stronger than him. So this is it." And I was losing my breath. And then I was like, I don't have a lot of time left. And the last thing I said was, God, if you will, please save me.
Mm.
And I blacked out. I literally thought I was dead. That was it for me. And I knew that, I mean, the last thing I did was make peace with death. That was it. And I don't know how much time passed, but I ended up on the floor and I literally felt like I saw light and I was like, "No, I'm not done yet. I'm not ready." And I woke up like this big gasp of breath. Like I woke up and I I woke up to him standing over me, what looked like him like eating something. I don't know what it was, and him saying, "Get up and stop being so dramatic."
Wow.
I was
Mm.
like, this isn't over. So it continued and he tortured me and he, taunted me and it just kept going. And, I'll again save it's a long story. I'll save the rest. But eventually, he switches up, starts being nice to me and wanting to kiss and cuddle. And now it's a mental war because now I know if I believe him again and if I allow this to him to butter me up again, he's going to have me trapped forever. And I told him, no, I don't want you to touch me. I don't want you to hug me or kiss me. And that's pretty bold coming from somebody who just tortured you and beat you up for an hour and a half. But I just felt invincible. I'm alive. So I was like, the least I can do is tell you no. So I'm wrapped in this blanket that he made me get in. I'm facing the wall and I just didn't budge. He's watching YouTube videos, he's laughing, he's eating, he's going about his day like nothing completely happened. And eventually, at like 5:30 a.m., he finally falls asleep and I hear him snoring and I'm like, make a break for it. So I just like, all right, get your stuff. Wait. No, stick to your routine that he's used to every day because you know him well enough to know that if you do what you normally do, he won't be suspicious. So did that. I made it out alive, made it out. He came after me technically 3 times after that. Um, Again, a lot of details. But yeah, he stalked me after that. He kept showing up, popping up, finding me. Um, and eventually he did. I filed for a protective order that I got granted, and yeah, he still found me after that and came after me. That was the third time, and
Okay.
so then he ended up going to jail. So it was a long, long, long story, and in the midst of that, at everything that was going on, I was like, I'm if I make it out of this alive, I will never let anyone or anything ever stop me from pursuing my dreams again.
Wow.
And so from there, I took some time to heal and I got to it. I got in contact with my patent lawyer, and I just went for it. Full steam ahead, not stopping. And I'm like, I'm going to get this done. There are people who need this. There are people who need me to follow through. They need me to not be buried in lies anymore. They need me to be strong enough to admit that I'm weak and that I need help. And they need me to heal so that I could bring this to life. And that's what I did. And fast forward, amazingly enough, literally last summer, when they said it might take 2 to 3 years, I got my patent. Like, they literally just told me it would take 2 to 3 more years, maybe.
Wow.
And then here I am with an email saying, congratulations. I'm like, okay, all right, God, this is amazing.
Wow.
So I'm sorry, that is a long story. But there you
No,
go. That's the
no.
background. That's the history of why it's so important to me.
No, that thank you for sharing. I mean, that that it's needed. It's needed. You said some really amazing things and I was typing on my phone. It's just like you have, do you love yourself? Do you like yourself? And be honest with yourself. Take the time to heal. Be strong enough to admit that you're weak and you need help. Sometimes you have to, not, it's not like you're hiding your
Mm-hmm.
purpose, but you have to guard it because
Yes.
everybody's not going to receive it. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
said some amazing things. And there's, I know that there's going to be somebody watching this that is going through something similar to you, or they know someone that's going through something similar to you. And they need to understand the mindset. Like, I've heard stories from battered women before, but I've never heard them give the feedback that you provided, the insight that you provided as far as the mindset when these things are happening. Like, you're actually feeling like, okay, I'm strong enough to deal with this. I made it through another day. And my observations was just like, maybe they feel like they're too weak. He's too strong and overpowering for them to make a move. But no, there's actually a psychological aspect of it where you're thinking, I'm strong enough to deal with it just today. I can deal with it tomorrow. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a battle in your mind. And so I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you shared. The next question is, okay, so we already talked about your ideal for the SIP-SAC. So, can you share with us now how the SipSak works?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Yeah.
So this is actually my third prototype. Um, so yeah, so the sip sack, actually you just kind of put it on like so. Very, very easy. And you just bring it around. This is actually going to be a little bit different when it's time to get the final. It'll be much easier to put on. So
Mhm.
just kind of hook it in right here and bring it around. I'm not sure. Hopefully you can see that. But it's very simple to use. It's very malleable. And I wanted it to be wearable so that you can kind of get back the that time, because during
Yeah.
breastfeeding, you still have two hands. You don't have to hold anything. So I wanted
Mhm.
to recreate that, positioning, that ability to kind of use your one hand to cradle your baby, the other one to kind of play with their fingers or stroke their hair. Just those special moments that you tend to miss out on because, you holding something in one hand and holding your baby, you don't really get that kind of
Mhm.
interaction. So it
Yeah.
encourages a lot of bonding.
Oh,
And I'll
awesome.
kind of sit up here a little bit, but you just kind of take it off. And so this is the inside of it. You can see that. So to the side, oh, this way. So this is a cap that's on it, and this is the tube that's there. And the milk bag, I don't know why I don't have right now, but the milk bag goes right here. You just twist it in and put it right back on. I'm trying to think, what is this? I thought my milk bag was in here. Um, yes, so here is, and I'll take this off so you can see more up close. So I created it with these little bumps right here. And so if you have not ever breastfed or been exposed to seeing one in person, a lot of people don't really register that. If you've never seen nursing up close, you don't really know a lot about the structure of a breast when it's in nursing mode. And these are supposed to mimic Montgomery glands, which are, you have about 4 to 19 on average in a human nipple, especially, the female nipple, which are also called pores, but that the milk actually does not come out of one hole. So bottles don't truly mimic the breast because they only
Mm.
have one hole. So that's something that a lot of people don't know, but I created it with
Oh, wow.
five holes for even milk distribution. So it kind of, sprays like that. And I'm going to grab the bag, but I'm going to explain this to you first. And so in the bumps here, the Montgomery glands, they actually not these, but on a breast, they secrete mom's oil. So if you ever know, like, well, how does a baby that literally just was born can find the nipple? And it's because of the oils that are secreted on the
Mm.
areola through the Montgomery glands is your scent. When they say a baby can smell the milk, that's why. Is it's not just the milk that they smell, it's their mom's oil and her
Wow.
body scent. Yeah, so babies get very attached to mom, not just because they're breastfeeding, but because of the smell.
Mm.
Um, and everyone has their own unique smell. So that's another reason why they know who mom is. It's like, all right, you don't smell like mommy, but you're giving me milk close enough. Like, I'll take it. And some neighbors are like, absolutely not. You're not it. This isn't it. So a lot of babies, tend to refuse bottles, and that's one of the reasons why. But there are ridges here. Trying to there I created ridges here. These are also like during nursing, these are a little bit more prominent. You can actually see them on a nipple when they're nursing, but it actually, allows the baby to be able to latch on to, and it gives that friction that they need. And it's just very incredible the way the body is designed. And it's like the more you
Indeed.
know about it, you're like, what? This is pretty cool. This is so cool. Um, so yeah, this is, and babies like to touch, and it's sensory. So I
Yeah.
wanted to incorporate all of those elements into something where feeding is not just give me milk and go away.
Yeah.
It's special, it's intimate, it's a
Mm.
bonding experience. And so now they were like, oh, this feels like mom. It feels like skin. This looks like mom because also, many people don't know babies don't see color at first. All they see is black and white, and the first color they learn is like red. So, all that's why the areola area. This is actually called the areola. It gets really dark when you get pregnant. So your areola is darker so that it's easier to tell between the two, and
Wow.
babies can immediately identify the breast.
Wow.
They immediately pick up on it. That's mom breast. That's what I'm supposed to be getting. There's the milk. So you have all
Wow.
these senses going on in a baby's mind where it's just nature. And boom, they're like, there's the source. And I'm like, all right, as many elements as I possibly can artificially create, I will. And so that's why it's designed the way it is. And so on the inside here, the tubing, I created it this way so that it's a one-way valve. And the reason why is to prevent gas. So gas is less, um, I guess it's it happens less in babies who are breastfed because of the way the breast is designed. Air is
Mhm.
not going in to the breast, you know,
Mm.
and air's not coming out. So
Yeah.
it's rare that babies are like super gassy if they're breastfed. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, that's a big problem. Like, how can we solve
Yeah.
that? So, I wanted to make sure that it was the same way. Air is not getting in here, and they're not coming out. So when the baby sucks, they're literally just, if you see a bag and you just suck all the air out of a bag, and it's just like that. Nothing left in it. Milk just comes out. Nothing goes back in. So that's kind of why I wanted it to be that way.
Yeah.
But a lot of thought went into it of all of the issues that
Yeah.
are very common with bottles and how can I solve those by mimicking breastfeeding in a very true way. So that is the SipSak. Yeah.
That that's amazing. Like it's so much detail that you've thought. Like you didn't just say, okay, I'm just gonna create something to feed babies. And no, like you thought about everything. You taught me things about like I have boobs, but I've never known some of these things that you said about boobs. Like, oh wow, that's so
Yeah.
interesting. Like I never knew, this is why this looks like this, or that's amazing. That is
Thank
amazing.
you.
I love it. So what is some advice that you would have for young girls?
Oh man. There's so much I would love to sit down and just share. But one thing is, you hear a lot of believe in yourself, you can do anything. Um, but sometimes it's not about believing in who you are at the time because you may or may not like the person you are right now. And it's a great balance between not falling in love with potential or not just making up a story about yourself and holding on to that. It's really a lot about let let me envision my perfect self.
Mhm.
Envision who in a perfect world, who would I be? What would I talk like, dress like, be like? And
Yes.
that person that you're thinking about, that person you want to be, live like that every day. Live like it until you become that person. Because the closer and closer you get to it, the better you're going to feel. It's going to feel like this is who I feel like I'm meant to be because you designed that person. You're not thinking about what everybody else wants you to be. This is how they want you to dress, what they want you to eat. You sit down and sit with yourself. This is a self activity. Sit alone by yourself and you create the person that you desire to be. And you don't tell a soul. And the reason why is that saying, if you tell a small person your big dreams, they'll make sure it doesn't come true. And it's nobody else's business who you think you're capable of being
Yeah.
because they may or may not believe. They're like, what, you driving a BMW? So, I mean, some people aspire to that. Or you being wealthy. Look what neighborhood you come from. You really think that you're going to be the only wealthy person that makes it out of here? You have people like that, and bless their heart, it could be your own mom, it could be your dad, it could be your siblings. They could be the very people that shut you down. So
Yes.
get by yourself, get real with yourself, and dream. Not just dream big in an outer sense, dream big about who you want to be as a person. Do you want to be patient? Do you want to be more kind? Do you want to be more fit and healthy? Do you want to eat right? This is how I wish I could eat, but I don't have that kind of self control. And when you start to see that person on paper, you'll start falling in love with who you can become. And I'm telling you, you will do the work. You will do the work. You visit that person every day, and every day you'll see, all right, I'm a little bit closer. I'm a little bit closer. And before you know it, you are the person on that paper. And now you're like, wow, okay, now personal goals, like what? This is everything. Like I am who I dreamed I could be. And learn how to keep some things to yourself. That's for you. Like your vision board is for you.
Yes.
So that's what I would advise.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
You're
Okay, young
welcome.
ladies, our princesses, take heed to what she said. Take heed. And likewise, for our women viewers, is there anything that you had that you would want to give them inspirational wise?
Yes. So um, I think for women, sometimes wait too late in life to revisit who we were when we were younger. And I will say to them, like, as the younger women are trying to figure out who they are, when you're a woman, you've gone through a lot. No matter what age you are, when you become an adult, life throws a lot at you. Sit with yourself as well, but also sit with the little girl in you and write to her, talk to her. What would you tell her if you were sitting next to her right now? Would you tell her to dream bigger? Would you tell her to not say yes to that day that totally turned your life upside down? And then
Yes.
apologize. Apologize to her for all the mistakes you made in life, all the things you wish you never did, all the things that you wish you did do that you didn't, and apologize for the person you wished you could become that you chose not to because you were listening to other people. And tell her that it's going to be okay and you still have time. And once you start to look at that child in you and you show her that it's not over yet, you just rustle up this power of like, all right, because she's going to turn back to you and forgive you. And now y'all are in sync. The child in you, you've forgiven your younger self. Your younger self has forgiven the adult you who probably could have done better job, you think. And now you're on track. Now you're like, all right, never too late to start over. Never too late to get rid of those notions that society puts upon us that you have to look this way, you have to have this type of body, you have to have this type of career. Don't speak so loud, don't be so bold,
Yes.
and you'll do away with all of that because it's just you and your younger self and all the possibilities, and you'll go for it. And it's possible no matter how old you are. You could be in your 50s right now and you could still become that person you've always wanted to be.
Yes, most definitely. Those are some really great nuggets. Okay, ladies, make sure y'all taking heed to what she was saying. But yeah, I thank you so much for sharing with us. I want to open it up for the ladies. They have been commenting throughout the chat.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, they have been commenting. But ladies, if you guys have any questions about the SipSak, I put her website information, I put her social media information up on the screen so that you guys can see. But if you have any questions regarding the SipSak and how it works, how you can use it, if we have some mothers that are soon to be, you're interested in it, you want to ask her like, okay, what is this good for? Put your questions in and she'll be glad to give you some feedback. But yeah, so when you were talking about it looks like we had quite a few comments where you talk about
Oh,
the relationship that you're with, um,
yeah.
that you're in, and somebody was just like,
Okay.
eventually you have nothing or no one pouring into you, which is so dangerous. That was Tamara.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kim said they break you down. They break down your self esteem first and put you in a vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
state where you
Yes.
can't even think for yourself. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that is so true.
Yes.
Um, Ladies, if you have any questions about the SipSak, feel free to comment. Some of the things, like if you go to her website, you'll see the different aspects and the way in which you can use the SIPSAC for cancer survivors, breast cancer survivors. There are women
Yes.
that have babies and they can't have that connection of breastfeeding naturally. So this can be an alternative. And then you have those fathers. Like I've seen some hilarious videos on social media where these dads, they're just
Same.
like, okay, the baby wants to eat and I'm not mom, but I gotta feed the baby. So like I've seen
Hole
men
in the
put like
shirt.
a picture. Yeah, they put a picture of the mom on their face and they try to like maneuver
Yeah.
the bottle in a position to make the baby think that it's the mom's boob. And so you even see on her website there's a picture of a dad and he has the sip sack on and he's feeding his baby. And so there's so many different ways in which a sip sack can be used. One way I was thinking, I'm just like, man, you know, when you're in public, you're out and about, and you have to like feed your baby. You don't necessarily want to have to whip out your breast every time. Like this
So,
could be
yes, some
really,
people are uncomfortable with doing
yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's like this could be a
Hmm.
good alternative to where you're able to, you know, feed your baby, especially if it's cold outside. Like who wants their boob out in the
Whew.
open? You
You know, I was literally thinking of that, and also, I'm glad you mentioned it. There was a woman, her name is Valencia, and she reached out to us because she's unfortunately going through a double mastectomy soon.
Oh,
And for those of you who don't know, a double mastectomy is an operation where they have to remove a single mastectomy is one breast, a double is both, and in order to get rid of cancer, in order to fight it. And she's going through radiation right now, and she had to immediately stop her breastfeeding journey with her baby. She has a young infant, and so
oh,
now um, I was just moved because I'm like, this is bigger than me. You know, this is so much bigger than a product. This is a way where we are building a community. These are people with real problems. You
yeah,
know, they're going through real tough issues. And I can't imagine having to process having cancer and you're going through treatment and weaning your baby. That's it's that's too much. That's
yeah,
too much. And I don't wish that on anyone. And all she's thinking about more than her own self, she's thinking about how do I help my baby have a better experience right now because
right.
I have to stop breastfeeding. So what can I do to soothe her? And that's just mothers are incredible. Mothers are so incredible. If you are a mom, I commend you because it's not easy. And if you have your mom still, if your mom is still living, no matter what you guys are going through, please just tell her thank you. Thank you for giving me life. If nothing more, thank her for giving you life because whew. So yes, many reasons for the sit tag, but I'm grateful I get to be a part of people's stories like
Right.
that. And if you are a parent to be, congratulations
Yes.
for any of you out there who are celebrating that. I celebrate you. Yeah.
Yes. We have Kayla. Kayla said, I think this will also help reduce postpartum depression in some ways as well. I'm not a mom, but I know it's a miserable feeling to be aching and stress.
Hmm. Yeah. I hope so. I do plan to have clinical studies done to be
Oh,
able to prove that it will help. Um, because yeah, that is a really big issue that I wanted to address um, head on. I want the SIPSAC to bring to light
yeah.
that and make women and families in general feel seen because you know this is
Right.
also for men as well to be able to feed their babies, because there are single dads out there who have unfortunately lost their wives in labor,
Mm,
and these are different special situations that you don't really hear about, or you don't really consider initially. Like, well, why would a man use it? A man will do whatever it is. They're not worrying about if, you care about what their sexuality is. They care about feeding their baby and comforting them. So
mm,
it's so many situations like that. One that's really, I can't wait to move into this space is babies in the NICU.
mm.
And a lot
Yeah.
of them, they don't have the opportunity to be breastfed. They're too tiny and they're just trying to survive. So being able to have this, even if, it's medical grade silicone, it can be sterile. And this could be their way of just feeling like they're touching their mom. Um,
Yes.
and I'm like, I look forward to that. I look forward to being a part of their growth story. And yeah, just,
Yes.
ooh, I love babies.
They are wonderful.
I
I
love
love them
babies.
too. I don't see that anybody has any more comments or questions or anything. So I just want to thank you, love, again for sharing with us. This has been amazing from start to finish. I just love your story. I love what you're doing, and I am again just so honored that you took the time to speak with us today. Like, oh my gosh, like an adventure.
Thank you.
To chat with us. Oh, that's big. Like that is so big. I'm so excited for you and what God is doing in your life. And you have really inspired me today. I know you've inspired some of the other ladies with your story. I just thank you again. And are there any last things you want to say before we head out?
Well, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity um, to speak and to share my story. I hope and pray that it helps someone, even if it's not out there, it just inside. If it was able to touch them or help them, I'm grateful for that. And yeah, keep striving. It's not over. I don't
Thank
know who that was for, but it is not over yet. There's
you.
time. You still have time. Keep
Yes.
going, keep pushing through. The money will find you. Be ready to receive it.
Yes.
Money will find you. Opportunity will find you. Love will find you. Be prepared. Be the person that is ready to receive it. So, whatever that means for you, I hope that was helpful.
Yes. Thank you for those words of inspiration. Someone said, oh, that's my auntie. She said, yes, this has been truly amazing. Such a blessing.
Oh, hey
And
auntie.
y'all, right. Yes, y'all, please, please, please support the SipSak, www.thesipsak.org. You may not be pregnant, you may not have any children, but you may know someone that can benefit from the SipSak. We are all about supporting one another. You can follow her on the SipSak. You can find her on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Please go like and follow her page. She
Thank
has
you.
everything that's been shared with you. You can find that information on her website. I'm so excited for what God's doing in her life. I'm just going to pray us out really quick. And
Okay.
then I pray that you guys have a good rest of your Saturday. God, we thank you, God, for this time of inspiration, for all the words that have been shared. I pray that lives will be changed for the better, that we'll be inspired to live on purpose as you have ordained for our lives, that we won't allow people or situations to keep us from pursuing our purpose in this lifetime. I pray that everyone that's been on this live and everyone that will watch the recording later on, I pray that they be blessed and you bless them in their endeavors and you give them the courage and the tenacity to press forward. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Bye, ladies. You guys have a good Saturday.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Yeah, I think it's cut off. Let me see. No, I can't tell. Uh, yes, it has been glitching this whole time.
Oh,
Um, so it's like a delay.
okay.
So it keeps on telling me in, but I can't. It's still in red.